All right, Verizon time is 3 p.m. and it's time to start our August Board of Supervisors meeting for Middlesex County. I would like for Mr. Jesse to open the meeting with prayer, followed by Matt Walker leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we'd just like to thank you for giving us another day, dear Lord. And let's pray for those citizens, dear Lord, out in California that lost homes and their lives out there. And we're just so blessed, dear Lord, that, we had a little rain, but, we're blessed because there are so many other people that are so less unfortunate. And dear Heavenly Father, let's just bless the citizens that come out here to listen to us, to conduct our meeting. And dear Lord, let us make wise and just decisions as we conduct county business today. These and all, in my Heavenly Father's name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Would all citizens of our nation rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sirs. At this point, we'll be looking for approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'm so moved.
Got a motion?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. If there's no discussion, we'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign for no. Motion passes. At this point, I'd like to open the meeting to public comments. Come forward, please, and state your name and address, and please be cognizant of our 3-minute limit per person unless you're representing more than what 4 people.
Good afternoon. I'm Trudy Feegum from the Hartfield District. A week ago tonight, I had the pleasure and privilege of accompanying my husband to the kickoff event for the Artisan Trail for Middlesex, Gloucester, Essex, and Matthews, and this was up in Tappahannock that the kickoff occurred. What a terrific idea, and I think it's going to provide an opportunity to showcase our artists and artisans here in not only just Middlesex, but the other 3 counties as well. One thing you always hear when people come, well, what do we have that we can do here? And it's going to be fun to go online and say, look at this. You can go here and there and you can connect it all. But that also leads me into my next comment, which is, as a county, we have certainly worked toward inviting tourists to come. And with that, I'd like to see a clean county, as all of us would. We have a beautification committee, I believe, as part of our group here. And it would seem to me that the trash that is at our public beaches could be addressed by that committee. Look at it as an opportunity, not a problem. Maybe they could connect with some of the service organizations. Again, we give county money to organizations for their fundraising activities. Maybe it's possible they'd be willing once a week to find a way to help remove that trash and dispose of it. If not, maybe it's time for community service for the people who are at the jail. It just seems an opportunity to me that should be addressed. I'm not one who believes that everybody is going to carry out their trash with them. I was taught to do that. All of you were taught to do that. A lot of people today are not being taught to do that. And it's not going to help our county to see the trash when people come in from elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Next citizen, please. Mr. Downs has his hands up. Come on up, Dan.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Downs. I live on Stormont Road, 629, in that lady's district. Part of that road is in John's district. What I'm about to tell you is kind of a shame. The portion of Stormont Road from Coach Point all the way down and around the turn to Pipe and Tree, Point Ann Lane, and the second section of Haley's Mill. They did a wonderful thing and they redressed the road. When it got to our portion, it's close to a mile, a little over a mile, there was a wonderful yellow center line. All the white lines that have been there for well over 9 years, there were no new white lines. I would encourage all of you to drive that road at nighttime. There's one ditch on one side, on the other side, there's no ditch. There's trees, little trees, bigger trees, crepe myrtles leading out into the road, even after they have cut it. There's also wiregrass. All of you know what wiregrass is. Wild Bermuda. It creeps. It has covered up the shoulders. If there were a line, people would probably be a little bit safer. Better yet, drive it on a dark, rainy night. I took the liberty, after I read the information that Ms. McGowan would be here today, walking both sides of the road. There are 57 visible places on both sides of that stretch of the highway that still have traces of the white line that were there. Why would we take them away? One of the reasons was the road is too narrow. That's not the case. The road is narrow because there's a deception in vision. On the one side, we have a fence with the wooded area and the farm, and everything grows out from there. The other side of the road is mostly grass and trees further back. But if you take the time to do it, I know John's not here, I'll see that he knows about it, because it's going to take a two-person team to solve this issue. The second reason was there's not enough traffic on that road. Maybe we need to do a counter. You know, in my section of Healy's Mill, and there's that section, there's 33 houses. Point Ann, Pipe and Tree, there's another 29 houses. So there's a whole lot of people who pay taxes, and it affects our property values. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I made it.
10 seconds to spare.
Next citizen, please. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Jerry Cook. I live in the Saluda district. On Route 700 off of 629. It's only a block long. This is my second or third time coming before this board to try having something done to that road. We have 37 houses in that section that runs off of that road, and the place is called Deer Chase. We have homes down there from $200,000 to over $500,000 in value. We pay taxes, we get nothing. We get no cable TV. I would just like, last time I was here, I was asked, did I know where the line in for Route 700? The State Department come down, I showed them where it ended. They put 2 paint dots on the road of where I told them where it was. There's a big chain link, a cable at the end of the road where Randolph Seeger owns. The state did come in and they put a culvert in. They raised our road so high that now at the end of the road, we have water. We get a good rain, there's water that flows across the road. Something has got to be done about this road. I'd appreciate y'all's help in trying to get something done to it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
This is Deer Chase Road.
Yeah, well, it's Route 700 that I'm talking about.
The public portion.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next citizen, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Rob Warner. I also live on Deer Chase Road, and I know the other part of 629 where Mr. Downs is talking about. And 629 isn't the greatest road in the world, but a little more maintenance on it, and definitely some more maintenance on 700 would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tom Feegum from Hartfield. I am a member of the Economic Development Authority here in the county, something I come with some previous experience in other states. We attended a function up in Tappahannock here, no, I'm sorry, Kilmarnock a few days ago. Michelle Brown was the only other one from the county that I'm aware of that was also there. She's doing a very interesting job. She's doing some very good things for this county, and given that position, she's doing what she should be doing. One of the things that we have just recently seen is that we have gotten an industrialization revitalization grant totaling almost $500,000 from the state because of the efforts she put in to go through the application process, provide the information, testify for all those things that are involved when you're talking about government. So if you want to put someone on your list to say thank you to, give it to Michelle Brown. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else, please?
I'm Don Barnett from Wake area. I'm a member of the Deltaville Maritime Museum, and they have a policy of renting the pavilion buildings and another little building called the Tea House. I have their contract here with the county and the museum. Well, my question is, I just want a clarification. Can they close the property when they rent these buildings out? Can they close up the surrounding property to prevent the public or members' use of that property? And who would I see to answer that question of whether they can do that or not?
Museum board.
I was going to say, you know.
You can talk to the museum board, but there may be something in our lease.
I have the lease here, and the only thing I can see on here is it says, "It is understood the property is leased for the purpose of establishing and maintaining a maritime museum and nature park, which will be open to the public." This is y'all's lease. How can they close the ground surrounding, when they rent a building, how can they close all the surrounding lands to the public and the members?
I think to direct that question to the museum board would be proper, because we've leased it to them.
Okay, I'll do that, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Seeing, hearing no one else, we will close the public comment period. Move into item number 3, constitutional officers. You've got on page 34 through 36, the treasurer's report only. We'll move down to VDOT for agency and staff reports, and we'll be in double time today. We've got Ron and Joyce, so anxious to hear what they've got to say.
Well, good afternoon. I had to write some notes down here quickly because I was at the other building. Hopefully, we will be back over there next week as your neighbor. We're trying to move in. We have our building almost ready for us with a little few details to work out. So the Middlesex area headquarters, we do have our contractors mowing grass. We are having contractors mow the secondaries. So some of your high-volume secondaries, you will see our contractors mowing. Our regular State Forest staff is continuing to move through those. We will be addressing mowing the stormwater management basins. Those were treated with a herbicide for the Johnson grass, so we are not going to mow that just quite yet. We're going to allow that to work. So I know that some people do have vested interest in keeping that together, so we've done that a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be back out there to mow that in probably the end of September, and to do our inspections there. We do have our surface treatment schedule starting in the county, hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks. You should have a list of the routes in your package of what we are going to be doing. I didn't bring that with me, and it's coming up on my computer, on my little phone here, which is supposed to be a little mini computer, but you know, it doesn't work when you want it to. So anyway, we do have that going on. We did have the washout on 695, and while we had the road closed, we addressed a lot of the issues with trees and vegetation and some drainage issues there. We will be paving that this week where there is a gravel patch. Fortunately, Middlesex County was spared a lot of the damage that we've experienced in other counties. Up at one point, probably the first part of June, I think we had 8 to 10 roads closed due to pipe failures and washouts and things like that from the storms that we've been getting. I did want to address the white lines. We did have our state forces go out and refresh the lines. When those lines are refreshed, our traffic engineering folks look at the road. They do an evaluation to see what is necessary when we put the lines down to begin with. We do look at the width of the road, we do look at the traffic count, and based on the current traffic counts that were done in 2017, we had 350 cars on the main line and about 90 between where the road is closed and 619. So it does not warrant white lines based on the current counts. They may have warranted when the road was open to traffic before the road was closed, and it may have been while they were there. A lot of things happened when they put the golf course in, where it was the new road, or the improvements were made there to their entrance as well for traffic. So that is the thinking behind the white lines, to apply them consistently across the state. We use the same parameters and reviews, look at accident history, we look at their any kind of hazards or other safety measures that could be implemented when we do these safety studies. And so that is, we've looked at, so it was looked at when we did the yellow lines, and it was looked at again after the request from the citizens at the board. So we've made 2 reviews based on the parameters that we use, and it doesn't warrant the white lines. Other than that, I don't have anything else for you unless you have questions for me.
Gale Road up in Churchview.
And what was that? Gales Road,
I had a constituent concerned about the speed limit there. It's not posted. When it's not posted, what's that, 45 miles an hour?
It is posted?
It wasn't posted.
Oh, okay.
It's not posted. And he was wanted to know if it could be made.
We can do a safety study to see if it warrants reduction. So right now, it's not posted.
No, it's not posted. Because he was, because where he lives up on the hill, as it goes down the hill, he said when he pulls out, there's people flying by so fast it almost hit him, and some animals getting hit and things like that. He was concerned about the speed limit.
Okay. We can do a speed and safety study.
Okay, thank you.
Joyce, there's a little 1/4 mile long piece of road called Speck Avenue at almost the end of 33 where it forks, and 33 goes up to the old hotel place, and there's a road up the middle, and this is the left fork, which has been alligatoring for quite some time, and now those little chunks are starting to pop up. So I don't know if you want to look at that before it starts getting some holes in it.
We'll do that.
And how are you feeling?
I'm much better.
Good. Glad to hear it.
We get this building done and these washouts fixed all around, we'll be good to go.
Good.
Ms. McGowan, I'd like to follow up too on the Stormont Road issue. And first of all, I do want to say thank you for the work that's done. I know it takes a lot to manage all these roads, and the edge of the pavement is always an issue. I guess my concern with that particular stretch and the roads in that area, it seems like if VDOT comes in to address one issue, then the citizens sometimes lose something else. So like if the culvert is repaired, then there seems to be a development. And I just think it's important that VDOT revisit it. Some of the lines on that portion of 629 from Coach Point down to the old dam are actually obscured by the pavement, not a complete pavement, but the sealer or something. And I'm concerned that the traffic count that was done because of current concerns about speed then actually resulted in losing the white lines. Because you make a good point, you can't put white lines if you have criteria on every road. But there are white lines on the other side of Stormont from Healy's down to the dam.
And that side of Healy's Mill is about 1,600 cars a day through the section that was reviewed. So that would meet the criteria for the lines of over
Not from Healy's Road down to the dam.
No, I meant on the other side, I thought you meant from the other side coming in, because we looked at both sides in the traffic count,
But the white
there's...
lines do continue down to the old dam, on the other side of the dam.
Right, and
On
that
the
was...
north side.
Yeah, and
But
that...
there's only about maybe 15 houses at the most.
And if there was any resurfacing or anything of that nature, the road would be reviewed again, and if it didn't have the traffic count, the white lines would not go back. So that's, you know, what happens when we do these reviews, and the traffic count and the width of the road is what determines where the white lines go.
Okay.
I can carry your concerns back to the traffic engineering section, but we've, you know, looked at it at the initial, you know, refreshing of the lines. We have contracts that we do to refresh the lines. Each year, about 20% of the county's roads lines are refreshed, and these numbers are looked at, and so sometimes lines go back, sometimes they don't. When we repave, sometimes the traffic markings do not go back the way that they were, because we do these reviews and try to make sure that we're applying the rules, you know, across the board.
Right, and I understand you have to have criteria. I would like to ask for another look from the safety point of view, as citizens pointed out, but also if the traffic count went down there, well, it went up on Healy's and Philpott. And I wonder if VDOT takes that into consideration
We've recently-
when looking at even a yellow line on those roads.
Those were looked at and are reviewed, and I do know that we paved the 619, I believe it was, and all that was looked at that point in time, because the road had already been closed when we did that resurfacing. So those things have been reviewed, but, yeah, I'll take the concerns back to our traffic engineer to try and revisit it, but I'm not sure what the outcome will be.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Joyce, thank you.
And-
Glad you're doing well.
You're welcome. And you will be getting those reports monthly. I have a staff member working on those, so if there's anything that you'd like to see or questions about them in the beginning of what things are, just feel free to let me know, or let Matt bug me, either way.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving right along to school matters, I think I saw Dr. Peter Gretz pop in here. Maybe he wants to come up and tell us something.
How are you, everybody? Nice to see you this afternoon. We've got 4 appropriations to process, and I think probably my numbers are not the same as the ones in your packet, so I don't know that I'll go in the same order, or if you'd like to call them out to me, I can tell you what they are or answer any questions you have about them. I'll start with the RCCF, the River Communities Foundation grant. Okay.
That's all right.
So we were you're all aware that we were very blessed to be awarded that $187,000 grant over 3 years. It tapers off in the 3rd year. So this is asking you to appropriate the first installment of that grant for our use to support the non-traditional high school that we're establishing for the upcoming year called Compass Academy, $75,000. Would you like me to go through all 4, or do you want to
How would y'all
consider
like,
each?
do you want to handle them as a group, or go through them? All 4, okay.
Okay. So the next one I have is food supply purchases. Is that yours? Okay. So this is to, you know that the food service department in the schools is a completely self-sustaining entity. We don't receive money from the locality to support that at all. It's all federal and state funds. We charge prices for meals that we're mandated to charge each year. And so they estimate and they ask that we operate in such a way that we have about 2.5 times monthly revenue left over at the end, which is about where we end up each time. And so this is just carrying over that balance into next year. Same thing is kind of true of textbooks, although we do receive some money for textbooks. But we're able to leverage E-rate funding. That's the funding that goes to support electronic media, and there's some electronic textbooks that we can use that money for, and that enables us to carry over and keep a fairly healthy balance in textbooks, because we never know when the state is going to, or we just locally will need to adopt a new textbook, and those are expensive. So it's not just a matter of replacing a classroom set of books when you have to adopt a whole new series of books. So that's the purpose for carrying over this money.
They actually do not have the Bay School, is it Bay School? Chesapeake Bay.
They don't have that one?
The governor's.
The
Okay.
governor's school, no.
So don't do that
because-
one, or-
No,
okay.
because Karen said that one doesn't need to come to the board.
Okay, good. No problem.
They don't control those monies.
We don't at all. We're just a,
Fiscal agent.
yes, just flow through.
Right.
So then the only other thing I guess I would share with you, just some dates of things coming up, and I'll give these to Betty. She can pass it around. For you to be involved as you'd like to in any of the events that are happening as we welcome back new teachers, our opening convocation. We have an open house in our schools you'll see there. We'd love for you to come. Any of those. We'd love to see you. So, do you have any questions for me about any of this? Or?
How are the staffing levels? Are you fully staffed?
We are
for the
fully
year?
staffed.
All right,
Yes.
good job.
Fully staffed, and have been for a week and a half. And never has that been the case in any division
was
I've ever
gonna
been a
say.
part of
That's early.
in
That's nice.
August. So we're thrilled.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a request for 3 budget items.
I'll make a motion to approve the 3 budget items.
All 3. Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So ordered.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pete. Good to see you.
Dr. Pete,
You
real
too.
quick before you
Yes.
leave, just want to mention to the board, we attended last year's opening convocation, and they had a very interesting speaker. Something Dr. Pete excels in, is he ropes in very interesting people to speak. Putting you on the spot, who'd you get this year?
This year, we have the new state
I
superintendent.
figured.
Yes,
I was
James
throwing that softball across home plate because I heard a little rumor that we may be getting a visit from our former superintendent.
Yeah, so I encourage you to come out and hear him. He's,
Former principal of that school.
that's right,
Yeah.
that's right. Yes, his first principalship in the auditorium where he's going to speak to us.
That's great.
Yeah, would love to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to social services, we have a report only, pages 43 and 44 in your board packet. And next, we have Mr. David Kretz to give us an update on public access, which is covered on pages 45 through 47. Dave?
Yes, sir. Everything's okay.
Yep.
All you have to do is pull up. Good evening, or afternoon, rather, Mr. Chairman, everybody on the board, all members and staff.
Which one?
It's the only PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
So, in your staff reports, you had, the first item was Canoe House Beach, just a simple item that's occurred on that piece of property. What's happened is I'm going to go to the pictures first. There's been a failure of the existing fence that's delineates the property line between the county property and the property to the west or northwest. This particular area, from about where it's X'd out, is now gone. This picture was taken about 3 years ago, so you can see that there's really nothing there. That's a bad picture, but you can see there was a sign on it saying that there was, public beach right there, and that's the end of it. So in that particular case, all that structure is void, it's gone. In fact, we had an issue where the existing concrete footing was there, and we had to go out and remove that for safety reasons.
How
So
old was that fence? Do you have any idea when it was installed? Just to get a
I do
lifetime.
not. I would imagine it may have been installed back in the maybe mid-2000s, 2005.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think that was in response to trying to appease a property owner as
I just
well.
was trying to figure the cost of bulkheading versus this and seeing which.
But that's always an option that could be looked at too. Obviously, in a saltwater environment, you're going to have issues with even galvanized is going to have a higher failure rate. So in response to that, to put something back in that's going to delineate the property and to try to keep people on the county property as much as possible, you can see this is the existing fence right in this area. And that fence post is right out about the backside of the beach. Of course, we have about 30 feet to mean low water. what we're proposing to do is put a knee wall up or a groin that wouldn't continue past mean low water, that would delineate the beach area and try to help keep some of the foot traffic off the adjoining property owner. The lifespan on this would obviously be longer than the fence itself. So, and this is standard construction for marine environment. You can see galvanized materials, sheet piles to hold it in. They would be set. Usually you would want a minimum of about 6, usually about half and half at a minimum. So you'd want at least 3 feet of sheet pile in the beach area. So that proposal would, at least signage could be put on it delineating that's the end of the county beach. And hopefully that would keep some of that foot traffic off the adjoining property owner. So that's the purpose of that. I just wanted to update the, I did the drawings on that, so we, I put that out to bid.
I said it's been long overdue on that too.
Yeah.
To get something done.
Yeah.
But also that wall will also retain some beach, some sand.
It might hold a little bit, yeah. It shouldn't be too aggressive either way. It might hold a little bit, or it might collect some or lose a little bit. But if you do a groin, you're going to get more results with it, obviously. But this might retain some beach there, especially in a storm event. So it may have a positive effect of that nature too. So anyway, anybody have any questions on what I did there? Well, while we're on that subject.
What is the cost for that work? Any idea?
I got a courtesy quote. And it's not a hard, fast quote, but around $4,000. So, and I think that's in your, I believe I put that in your staff report as well. So, let me see, that was yes, sir, it was in the staff report. So, and that's not a quote, that's not a in writing quote, that was a courtesy quote, and I'm going to get those out to bid so we can get some hard, fast quotes on it, so we'll have a better idea of what we're dealing with. But this is a reputable contractor, I asked, so and he does good work, so that's, of course, he would have to bid on it if he, in that process, so anyway, no other further questions on this particular.
Are you looking for any action today?
Mr. Walker, I don't know if any action is necessary.
I think he's already been directed to get some quotes on it, come back to the board, and hopefully get something going in September or October.
Because those rulings, it's so much a foot is pretty standard.
Yeah, yeah.
10 feet will be this, 20 feet will be that. 30 feet will be that.
Right.
If he gave you a quote of 4,000, it probably wouldn't vary a whole lot with him. I could vary with another.
Right.
What about the other side of the property?
We have not received complaints on that side as far as encroachment onto that side for some reason.
We've got a sign on the other side.
Yeah.
And
isn't it true?
Yeah.
We no property owner complaints from that side, so for some reason or other, we want to migrate to that direction. I don't understand it. So anyway, the next item I'm going to talk about is Graves Point Beach Nourishment Project. We met with VDOT on Friday morning to try to get, of course, we've been talking about this. Some of these, we originally had a meeting, it was almost 2 years ago with VDOT. And we've already gotten kind of a bump along from the Corps and VMRC, a little bit of support in that direction. Of course, we would have to submit, anything we do there needs a full submittal. But VDOT gave us, we explained what we were doing, and VDOT gave us a verbal go-ahead to start with the permitting process. Of course, anything that we produce, they want to see before we submit. So we would produce a plan to nourish this beach, which would be in standard joint permit application format. And then we would send it to VDOT and let them review it, make sure everything's okay. Once they give us a go-ahead, then we would go ahead and submit it to the Virginia Marine Resources Commission for permitting process. So just a couple brief, just to give you a basic idea what we're planning. This is preliminary. We may have to adjust this a little bit. We may be able to increase it a little bit or decrease it, however, the comments we get from the regulatory authorities. But you can see we're going to have, this will be subaqueous bottom right here that we'll try to least reclaim some of that for beach area. And then, of course, we'll actually nourish the beach here as well, the existing beach that's there. And just roughly, we'd have about 8/10 of impact subaqueous and roughly 2/10 of an acre of beach impact. There again, that could vary. Well, of course, the purpose of this is to provide additional beach area for the public use. It would be an enhancement to our public access and all our public facilities. Of course, impacts, we've looked at the impacts with VDOT's mainly concerned with the no changes proposed for the existing parking and staging area. That's been a concern with them. With the ongoing work on the bridge, they need that parking area for their construction equipment. Of course, there's also no entrances changed, proposed. Of course, I just went over that. There's your impacts. Here again, I've done a rough, just through VMRC site, it doesn't look like, these are, I believe, the public oyster, or the private oyster grounds. I believe that's what, I'm having a hard time seeing that. Yeah, those are the private oyster lease areas. It doesn't look like there's any impact for that. These are the public, so there again, we look like we avoid impacts in that area. Of course, we also have subaqueous vegetation that it looks like we avoid as well. So that should help with the permitting process. I just did a rough section. This is not to scale. This is basically what you'd be looking at. You'd have an angle that you would try to achieve to get the beach, a standard beach grade on it. I believe 10-to-1 is what they try to achieve. Of course, nature's going to decide what it will be in the end. So, but it has to be installed at some grade. And I believe that concludes that presentation. Are there any other questions on that? I have a couple pictures I can put up there to show existing beach area.
I just have a comment. It was a very successful, popular public beach in Gloucester that you can see from the bridge. And this reminds me so much of that. I think this is just a perfect spot. It doesn't face northeast like everything else that we try to do. It could be protected and shouldn't have impact on people's property. I don't think it's, because the populated part's on the other side of the road, if I remember correctly, up Pine Road or Pine Ridge Road or something like that. So I think this is a very exciting possibility for public beach access, and I hope we'll follow it through.
Yes, sir. And to your point, actually, some of the original concepts showed offshore breakwaters similar to Yorktown, and the Corps actually suggested that with that exposure, it's going to have a natural tendency just to push sand into it rather than pull it out of there. So, you know, it was an unnecessary element of the design. So.
And Dave, before you leave that, I'll add, the board may recall, this was one of the two projects Doug Dietrichson and our study indicated would be a good priority first start for public access projects with the county. And of course, you do realize much of the sand material we have already available to us in our Deltaville dredged material storage site. It's simply a function of moving that sand and placing it to do the beach nourishment project with VDOT. And if Dave is to proceed with the permitting, he would need authorization from the board tonight.
Dave, the project at this point is just for the nourishment and no
Yes.
changes to the parking, I see that. But if the nourishment is really successful, don't you anticipate there'd be more demand for parking? Or no?
It's possible. There is area there for parking. I don't know if the pictures show it. I don't know that there's necessarily a lack of area to park. It's just VDOT does not want a formal design on parking on that area. They're very hesitant to change what's there. It's something they use regularly through their maintenance program, and they're just a little hesitant to cut us loose on a parking lot per se.
And if I may add to that, one of the items or concepts that Doug Dietrichson came up with after studying the site was a possible fishing pier. This was a potential Game and Inland Fisheries fishing pier application. VDOT was very concerned about any structures being built on site at this point in time without knowledge of what the future direction of the bridge and any potential bridge replacement project would be. So they're very, I won't call it reticent, but they're very concerned about building any structures that may have to be relocated at a later time. We feel like if we move forward with the bridge, or excuse me, the beach nourishment aspect of the project, we will get some initial benefit without causing a lot of permanent structures that would need to be replaced if something should shake free in the next 3 to 5 years on a bridge replacement. I am not holding my breath on the bridge being replaced in 3 to 5 years, nor do I think the boards over in Lancaster County. So this would be a good starting phase for the project.
When VDOT is parking there for projects, is this area open to the public?
I would believe it is. They would just have to stay out of the way of VDOT vehicles, I would imagine.
Yeah.
As long as they don't block. I don't believe they put any signage up that prohibits the public from using it.
Right. I just didn't know, because with the repaving of that's ongoing through the fall and, you know, the other construction that's going to be going on the other side of Route 3. I didn't know if that would be a problem. But, all right.
I mean, supposedly they're supposed to finish up their current project. What is that, September for the paving, I believe she said?
November.
So that may take some of the,
I thought it was September.
is it
it's
November?
I think it's November.
They were
It's the
hopeful
date.
for
It's
September.
in the
maybe.
packet, yeah. Okay.
Maybe that might ease some of that work. So,
Anything else on the Grays Point Nourishment Project? Dave, may I ask you a question off topic?
yes, sir.
A citizen asked me today about the grass cutting in front of the solar farms. They planted nice bushes that are going to grow up and block a lot of that view, but some of the weeds are almost waist high. VDOT has been through and cut their right of way.
Right.
It makes it look even worse because there's a delineation between something that hadn't been cut at all. I recall when they got their zoning and not zoning, when they got their permit to do that, and we had the setback and the shrubbery and that sort of thing. I just don't recall anything on grass cutting.
Well, I think they will maintain their grass. What they have is a new stand of grass, and they're probably a little hesitant to cut it while it's new. And they're also getting their, it's probably time to cut it. But I also have talked to a contractor who's been contacted to cut it.
Okay, great.
So if that helps answer your
I
question a
can
little
tell the
bit.
citizen that we're working towards.
Yeah, it's working. So it would have, and believe me, I think that site's going to be one of the, we'll probably wish that all the sites looked that nice.
I think so too.
That's going to be a nice looking site when it's done. And it'll probably be it's been a great site. We've had rains, unbelievable. Of course, everybody's aware of the rain totals we've had. And that site for our E&S and whatnot, we've had one complaint was basically unfounded, I believe. But we've done a good job of making sure that nothing's leaving that site that's going to harm downfield properties. So and I think everybody's proud of the job they've done getting it to this point, so.
I think only a few short weeks ago, they were desperate for rain. I think they've made up on their rain quota now.
Anybody desperate for rain and
Yeah.
live around here?
So that rain helped that vegetation that was planted around the fences, so. And that'll take some time to
Thank you, I didn't
take a
mean to
stand.
swerve
Oh, that's
off the
okay,
road.
that's fine, yes, sir.
While I had you.
I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion that we authorize Dave to go ahead with the permitting for this Grays Point renourishment project.
Don't see any reason not to do that. We have a motion,
And I'd like to second that.
duly seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. So ordered. That project is exciting. I like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll try to get started on that as soon as possible, get it up and running, so we hopefully can get something out there. Maybe we can get something by spring if we're lucky.
Nice.
It'd be nice. All right, the last, of course, these were pictures. Last but not least is Whiting Creek, which has been lingering and lingering and lingering. I'm going to give you a little background on it. I'm going to go to this plan. I prepared this. There's an existing pipe that runs under, keep bringing that down. This is a 12-inch pipe that runs underneath Marsh Pungo Road right in here. So when I met out with VDOT, they indicated they wanted to put a drop, not a drop in it, but a manhole that would pick up this junction. When originally I was hoping we could just continue this pipe through somehow or another, just build a structure and put it through. But they were concerned, VDOT goes through their processes, they were concerned with the capacity of the pipe to make sure it worked. And they were also concerned there's a little bit of a swale that runs down this, I guess the eastern side of Marsh Pungo Road. So all the drainage from the western side of the road goes down and comes into this pipe. Of course, all the drainage runs down here, and what it's been doing is there's just there's a sand dune, and it kind of backs in here and sits in here, and it infiltrates, and if we have dry weather, it evaporates and goes in. If we have a lot of wet, it kind of sets muddy and wet. So VDOT requested that we do a design to accommodate the drainage on the right side of the road and the left side of the road. And then, of course, the outfall capacity pipe would have to take both sides of the road. So currently, VDOT is reviewing that to make sure, I've sent them this plan to review, and they have the hydrology on it, and they may help us out a little bit with it. But it's currently under review. And that's kind of where we're sitting with it right now. Hopefully, I would prefer maybe they come back with a little bit simpler design. That would be my hope. But if that's what they want, it's their property, so we'll fall in line and do what they wish. So that's where this project is at right now. It's under a review from VDOT for drainage and drainage calculations.
Where would you take the water from the other side?
Mr. Mansfield, you talking about this side over here?
Yes.
This water would come here and go through this pipe. That's what it's doing now. But actually, there's really no outfall to it. It's kind of odd because it goes to the other side and it basically empties into a sand dune.
Yeah.
So it's not really, it doesn't have outfall at this time, which is kind of, I guess, like a lot of times when you submit things, VDOT will fix things that were probably there all along when you want to go forward with something. So it's, like I said, and then what would happen is we'd have to install this pipe down the right side of the road to pick up this drainage on the right side of the road, and then it would go into a junction, what they call a manhole 1, which is a standard junction, and then both these pipes would go through a larger pipe that would outfall through the bulkhead at about mean low water. The odd thing about this is that once we open this up, the inverts of the pipe, which are the lowest point of the pipes, are having elevations that are just above sea level. So I think what's going to happen when you do this design, the tidal water is going to back up in it anyway. But this is what VDOT wants. This is what they get.
And to remind the board, some of the initial discussions on this project was to tie this project in with VDOT's repair and maintenance of the existing boat ramp there and allow for a little bit better parking configuration. Many of our watermen and fishermen in the area will park down there, and having a little bit more parking area available for trailers and trucks was the desire.
Ms. Weinberg, you talked with neighbors down there?
I have, and I did talk with one of the watermen the other day, and he was very pleased with the new ramp. So, and he had quite a long skiff.
Good.
And so that's an improvement. And along the lines of making this area better, I know it's a challenge. It's a small area with a lot of different uses. And I don't know where our influence, but when you're making these little drawings, there are some signs now that VDOT has put in, new signs, no littering and something, this belongs to VDOT, this, end of the road, they're actually in the, right smack in the middle of any view shed that's there. And I think one purpose of our public access areas are people to go and for enjoyment. And I think that detracts from the enjoyment. I know they have rules and regulations, but if it's appropriate or when, it seems to me that signs could serve the same purpose on the other side on the land side of the road.
We could note that to we could relay that to Joyce. I think I have verbally. No? I think that concludes that presentation, Mr. Chairman. If anybody has any questions, further questions on any of these projects, I'd certainly entertain them.
Ladies and gentlemen, any questions? If not, well, thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Now we move forward with some regular agenda items, the E911 phone system purchase. We've got Eileen and David here to talk to us. I'm not sure who we get first.
I'm going to start off.
Thank you for doing all the talking today.
Now, I'm going to turn it over to her when y'all start asking the technical questions. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, member of the board. We'll start off with some good news. I'm going to shorten your agenda items, and we don't need any county funds today. Item 5B is no longer necessary.
Can you repeat that, please?
Item 5B is no longer necessary after confirming the contract price today of the E911 system. It does not exceed the grant funds at this time.
Well, we still have to do 5B.
You're going to have to, yeah, but...
You have to, because it's a reimbursable grant, so you have to expend the money before you get it back.
Okay.
But it means that we don't need...
The additional supplement.
The grant is $150,000, and we will not be going over that, is what...
Correct. So we, Eileen got a VITA grant in the amount of $150,000. That's a no-match grant. She's been working, her and her staff been working on the 911 telephone system. We talked a little bit about it last month. This was kind of the third and final phase of updating the 911 center. Carousel Industries is on a state VITA contract. That contract, Eileen and her staff have been working with them. They have a contract in hand. The county attorney has reviewed it in the amount of $143,978.75, leaving us a balance of $6,021.25 that we would like to use towards ancillary equipment with the 911 system. Therefore, the total of the grant would be $150,000 in the amount that we have received. One thing that I do need you to be cognizant of is the fact that there is starting at year 2, there is a $21,133.68 maintenance and support contract that would be on an ongoing annual basis. I believe that just like the CAD project, we can cover this in the maintenance contract that we already have funded with the addition of a couple of $1,000s.
When does it start and what is that figure?
That would be year 2. So it'd be,
so basically after one.
Yes, sir.
And the amount annually?
$21,133.68.
All right, sir, are we looking for action on the E911 phone system purchase?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
We've got a motion, looking for a second.
Second.
Motion duly seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So ordered.
Thank you.
So we have to do B anyway. So Betty?
Yes.
B then would be for $150,000 to match the amount that's
Gotcha.
the grant.
Looking for a motion on item B.
I make the motion that the grant funds be accepted and expended at this point.
Thank you,
Is
ma'am.
that correct?
I'll second it.
Have a motion duly seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, so ordered.
And Mr. Chairman, before we leave that completely, I'd just like to add a special thank you and hearty job well done to Eileen. She keeps coming in here finding these grants for us to replace some much-needed equipment. And I know I speak for the sheriff when I say that we really sincerely appreciate that. I think you may be up to, what, 500,000 or more?
Close.
Close, okay, well, now you have a goal. Thank you again, job well done.
We do
I always
thank you.
accept challenges.
We do thank you.
Thank you. And I thank all of you, very much so. And the dispatchers, thank you.
Well, health, safety, and welfare are the three things that I consider the primary first-line jobs of our board. And it's a pleasure to work on the Emergency Services Committee with you all. And glad that we're able to get this new radio system and the CAD and everything else in. That's very, very, very rewarding.
The new radio system in itself has lessened the stress on the dispatchers tremendously, because we can actually hear what they're saying, and they can hear us without continually having to repeat it or scratching as it's been.
Yep.
And when we start with the CAD system and the new phone system, it's amazing how much less stress there is. Because I don't know if anybody here knows how much stress a 911 dispatcher actually goes through on a daily basis. And if you can lessen the environmental stress, it helps them do their job better. So,
I know a number of board members have taken Eileen up on her offer for a tour of the dispatch office. I'd highly encourage all of us to do that.
absolutely, anytime.
And I need to get with you on that application.
It's Michelle.
Enough said. David, you've got mutual aid, I believe.
We do. We have a memorandum of understanding and cooperation, and let me give you a little background about this. Came about with the emergency managers of the Northern Neck and the Middle Peninsula getting together and discussing the aftermath of the tornadoes that hit Essex County several years ago. Everybody responded and helped and assisted, and we'll do it again tomorrow if we have the resources available and we're not affected. The problem is in the aftermath, then trying to sort through everything. There was no formal agreement. So what we have done with the cooperation of the planning district, they kind of orchestrated this. We put together a very standard mutual aid agreement that would allow us to share resources to help fill critical positions. If the particular county, if it was an isolated incident in a particular county and we had resources available, or somebody else had resources available that could come help us if we had a catastrophic event that was isolated to Middlesex. So it basically is a very standard mutual aid agreement. It's been reviewed by the county attorney, myself. We've had some comments, we've had some changes, revisions that we posed, and it has been, it's reflected in this document today. Basically, bottom line, if we've got the resources available, we would send the resources available. For the first 72 hours, we would be responsible for all expenses associated with those resources, and vice versa. Somebody sends resources to us, they would be responsible for those resources for the first 72 hours. After the first 72 hours, we can renegotiate. If it's not needed anymore, then we stand down and so forth. Very, very standard in a mutual aid agreement. About half of the counties have already taken this document to their board and they've signed it. The others are working through the process at this point in time. So I would, I think, Mr. Holt, as the Director of Emergency Services, you would be the one that would need to be authorized to sign the document if we want to participate.
Well, I would be happy to if that is the desire of the board. This is really a good neighbor agreement. I think it would be a way of stating.
I think it's very necessary.
Yes, sir.
And I would like to make that motion.
We have a motion to accept the mutual aid agreement.
I'll second that
motion. Duly seconded. Is there any discussion?
With, also with the mutual aid, I know as we upgraded to P25 and different, what, 700?
Yes, sir, 700 megahertz.
Yeah, I know King and Queen, they're on that same frequency, right?
No, sir, they're on a U8. No, sir.
They're on a different frequency?
Yes, sir, but we're working through all the interoperability issues at this point in time, so we will have interoperability before it's over with.
How
Yes,
about
sir.
Essex County too?
Yes, sir.
How about Matthews?
we're working on that too. All of our neighbors, we are working on interoperability solutions with all of our neighbors right now.
To hear. Motion, duly seconded, discussion. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So ordered. David, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. We have item D, request to waive fees. Betty and Greg Chambers.
I did my part with the memo. I figured.
Okay.
Mr. Chambers is here to.
Okay, Greg, would you like to come up?
Have questions for him.
Yep. I'm Greg Chambers. I'm the Vice President of the local Habitat chapter, and I've appeared before you on a few other occasions to ask that you waive the fees and permitting for the houses that we build in the community. About 6 months ago, we acquired 2 adjoining lots, one of which is about an acre and fronts on Regent, and the other is a flag lot that comes out on Bob Hole and has about 6 acres. It's zoned village community, and it is our intent to subdivide this. It has taken us longer than we expected to have the subdivision happen because of some things we're working on with VDOT and Bay Design, okay? So what we would like to do is obtain building permits for the 2 lots and build 1 house on them while we are working our way through the subdivision. One of them is a standalone property, and that's just, we just need to build a house on it, and the other one, we're going to build 1 house and subsequently pursue a subdivision to make that into 6 lots, okay? So this would be a first for our Habitat chapter, our first substantial subdivision in the county, something we're very happy about. It's going to help us lower our construction costs per house and serve more families, hopefully. So I'd like your approval to waive fees on the subdivision and then subsequently the houses that we build on that property into the future. Okay.
So you have that in your memo, that the subdivision fees are $240, and then the fees associated with the construction, which would include land disturbing and all of the building fees, would be approximately $800. So for the 2 homes.
So you
$1,040.
Yeah.
Far less than the value of Habitat to this community.
Right, for a very good cost. I'll make a motion that we request a fee.
And I certainly second that.
Duly motioned and seconded to waive fees. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to commend Habitat for their initiative here and also recognize the benefit to the citizens of the community, but also having added 11 homes in the past 10 years, is that right?
13, I think.
And another one coming on to the real estate tax rolls in this community is a considerable contribution.
Absolutely.
That all of us benefit from, so.
I even did a little painting one time.
Yes, you did.
And
that's something that we, Mr. Chairman, we have always done,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Habitat,
Oh, I understand.
and I appreciate you.
And it's a pleasure to do
the
it
job you
again.
do.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So ordered.
Thank you very much.
Wings, Wheels, and Keels, lease agreement and funding agreement. Betty, I believe you got your name on that one.
Yes, this is me. Every year, the Board of Supervisors enters a lease agreement with the owners of the Lawson Trust property adjoining the airport that's used for the Wings, Wheels, and Keels event that's held in September. So we have that agreement before you for approval. In the past, it's been $400 to rent that. They asked last year that it be increased to $500. So that's in your packet. And then along with that is the draft funding agreement between the Board of Supervisors and the Department of Aviation. They offer promotion grants that we apply for that fund 50% of our eligible expenses. So they have offered up to $8,160 for that. So I have those two items for approval.
Well, I find Wings, Wheels, and Keels to be a very nice event for Middlesex County, and we'll be looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, for the lease agreement and also funding agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. So ordered. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then the Line of Duty Act Benefits
Next one.
Resolution. Betty.
Yes, and that was supposed to have draft on there. This is a draft.
Okay.
I was contacted by someone with the Virginia, BRS, actually, regarding this. They administer the Line of Duty Act for the state, and we have been paying Line of Duty Act insurance through our insurance company to help cover this. And this is something that the state has, has put into the state code for additional benefits to our volunteer emergency workers, fire and rescue. Our paid sheriff's department has already been covered by Line of Duty benefits for a while, but then the state added the requirement for our volunteers to be covered also. And they did not have a resolution on file of the county acknowledging that our fire and rescue departments were part of our emergency staff, excuse me. So that is what this is asking us to do, is to officially recognize those departments as being part of our emergency forces here in the county and making them eligible for the Line of Duty Act benefits.
You said this was supposed to say draft.
It was.
Is this actionable now on
Yes,
draft? Okay.
yes. It's just normally I would have draft across. It says, that it's already been adopted, Matt's signature down there, but
All right,
it's
we
not.
are looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Line of Duty Act.
Very good.
Benefits for
Motion duly seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. So ordered. Well, Betty, you're back on deck again with
I'm
appointments.
sorry, who seconded that? Who seconded?
I believe.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't write and talk at the same time. Okay, on to appointments. You only have two in your packet. One for the Middlesex Broadband Authority. They have recommended that Chris Henley be appointed, and that would be to take the position that was previously held by Kevin Gentry, who has resigned that to become the executive director. And that would be for a four-year term, to finish out the four-year term expiring June 30th, 2020. And then the airport committee has Ed Fisher's position expires the end of this month, and he has asked to be reappointed.
Very good.
And there's also a vacancy on the BZA, correct?
There is, but we have not received any applications for that. There's a vacancy. If anyone knows any, that's for Roger Anglin's term for the Saluda district.
I see one other application for broadband. Is that just?
It was one that was submitted when requests for applications were being requested, made. That was turned in, but so I included in the packet. But the committee or the authority has recommended that.
Okay, that was the point I wanted to get to.
They have
make sure
recommended
that we were getting getting the recommendation.
Yes.
From the, okay, very good.
Yes, they did at their last meeting recommended that Mr. Henley be appointed.
Would the board like to take both of these appointments in one motion?
Yes.
Okay. Then the chair will entertain a motion to approve these two appointments.
I so move.
I'll second.
Motion duly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So ordered.
And Mr. Chairman, just for clarification on the record, that was to appoint Mr. Henley to the Broadband Authority?
Correct.
Based on the recommendation?
Correct.
Thank you.
Well,
You'll also see that, I'm sorry, you'll also see that there is a vacancy coming up on the airport committee, an at-large position, that Randy Colson does not wish to be reappointed. He has been on there a very long time.
he was
Since
telling me,
they're-
do you know how old I'll be if I go back on for another 4 years? But he'll be missed.
He's been on there since the early 80s.
Yeah.
Or
We might
before.
want to look for some recognition for him. Haven't done that.
Sure would be good to give it to him.
Madam County Attorney,
Mr. Chairman, I do not have any updates at this time.
the chair is extremely disappointed. I was looking forward to a long-winded report, which I'm sure we will get from.
I delegated my time to him.
So we'll move
usually
on to
need
county
to-
administrator items.
Very good. I actually have a brief report too this month, Mr. Chairman. 2 items in particular, well, actually 3. The first item I want to just mention is Betty and I will be attending, or at least I will be attending partially, the aviation conference, I believe, next week. I think Betty's intending to go both days. I'm going to try to make an appearance Thursday and do a quick presentation before their board. Just want to let the board know that. The second item I had was I want to introduce our newest employee, Miss Susan Trainer, who is sitting on the front row. Many of the board members have met her already. Susan will be joining us as executive assistant and deputy clerk, Betty's former position. So I want to welcome her. She's attending the board meeting today to get a feel for it. It'll be the last time she sits in the audience. I think next time she'll be right over there. And welcome, Susan. Thank you. And the last thing, I just want to piggyback on some of the comments that Mr. Feegum had made earlier, representing the EDA during public comment. Of course, the board is aware, in your packet is a press release that Michelle Brown put together, notifying the board and the public, and we have this sent to the paper for this week's newspaper as well. Press release regarding the governor's announcement of the county receiving $480,000 under the Industrial Revitalization Grant. Know this is in your packet, but I want to present it for the public that may not have a packet. There were 7 applicants that applied for approximately $3.9 million. Middlesex County was one of 3 that was funded, which included Newport News and the city of Norton out in the western part of the state, each receiving the same amount of $480,000. Of course, we are still awaiting announcement of awards of the VCI, or Vibrant Communities Initiative grants. We expect those within the month or first couple weeks in September, God willing. And Michelle worked very hard on the grant and with our partners, and I just want to add to the accolades that Tom had mentioned earlier, or Mr. Feegum. You know, the success of this grant is due in no small part to her hard work and her creativity on it. So as Eileen is bringing in money for the E911 Center, our Economic Development and Tourism Coordinator is bringing in funds to help us on what will truly be a transformational project for our community. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to item 8, unfinished business. The topic of land use ordinance is up for discussion. And I'd like to just sort of recap as well as my memory serves me, because I think that land use has been discussed by the board a number of times over the last 10 years. In this past year or 2, we have had folks come in and tell us about agriculture and SLEAC values, and about timber and horticulture and all the open spaces and all the things that we need to understand. And I believe we were ready to go forward with an ordinance asking the Commissioner of Revenue to do certain verifications. And Mr. Jesse, I believe you asked for a little time to work through some things. So I don't know if this is if it's enough little time or what, but it was back on the agenda to discuss today. So I thought we'd just open the floor up to see what people wanted to, what direction we might want to go in.
Right, yeah, I was just trying to figure out what criteria, what are you looking for, put it that way. That's what that's my understanding.
Well, right after health, safety, and welfare, I think it's an obligation of the board to make sure that taxes are applied fairly. If somebody pays less tax than they should, that ordinarily means somebody else is going to pay too much. So I look at SLEAC values as being a state-supported value that we're not charging that much. We're charging less than that. And there may be a justification for it that I don't understand, and I'm just one person. But all I want is to make sure, because we've gone through the B poll, we've gone through personal property and all of these things, and have tried to place Middlesex County in the mid-range, not the high taxer and not the low taxer. And I think that land use came up when we were just turning every stone over to see if there was any funding under it. So that's just where we are, and I open the floor to your comments, conversation, see which way we want to move with this. If we don't want to do anything, that would be what the board wanted to do. But any changes that we might recommend, because the board cannot tell the commissioner what values to put on there, we can recommend. And if she were to accept those recommendations, it would be 3 years before they would go into effect. So it's not anything that's going to happen immediately. It would be the next regular assessment. And of course, we can have an assessment anytime we want to, but it costs money and there's not much need in doing it outside of the normal parameters. So.
You know, I did talk to the Commissioner of Revenue. You know, she did say, you know, she may adjust it a little bit, but see, that's what she does, you know. She looks at all the other surrounding counties. Now, the SLEAC is much higher than, you know, and depending on the different types of soils and different things like that. But she said that's what she does. She checked all the other surrounding counties, and then she adjusts it like that. Mm-hmm. And you know, and you know, as you know, and I know, if you go to SLEAC, you're going to really harm your farmers and your treatment and different things like that. And I think you really need to take a close look at it. And I talked to her, and she said she's been looking at it, and she realized that, you know, it's up to her decision. And from talking to her, she told me, you know, definitely, she said, I looked at all these options. And she said she's going to adjust it a little more, no doubt about it. But she's not going to jump right up to the SLEAC like the state is, because, you know, different land soils and different things like that, in a lot of different areas. And, you know, I would hate to see you harm your farmers, number one, and then your trees, your forestry, and you know, and some of the open land. But you know, I was working on a farm today on a roof that he had, and you'd be surprised the thing that a farmer goes through every day, getting up early, cutting the grass, not only with all the other things that goes into farming, but he got to get up early, spraying for weeds and different things like that. And a lot of people don't realize that. You know, I sit down there and I just kind of watched him, because I was working on his barn. And I say, you know, a lot of people sitting around here, they don't realize what farmers go through. You know, they can sit back and think, you know, they got it made easy, but they don't. They got to worry about the weather. They got to worry about the flooding. They got to worry about buzzing. I mean, there's a lot of variables that you got to worry about. And I think Bonnie looks at all that too, because she goes out and checks those things. Now, if you're getting information from somewhere else, you know, let's look at it. Let's look at it. But you know, she's running the show here. We can sit back and say anything we want. But I can tell you, she's doing what's fair and what's going to be done. And I don't know where this came from, that, you know, that somebody has said that, you know, they're being not paying their share and all this stuff like that. But you understand, it takes a long time to grow a tree. And if you want to jam a price up on these forestry people, and it's going to be a trickling effect. I'm going to tell you, everything else going to go up. Just like, I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to leave it like it is. I'm not even going to go there, because this is local. I'm not going to go federal. But I'm going to leave it like that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I suggest that we table this for at least a month. There has been a meeting which included Bonnie Davenport, and I thought it was a very successful meeting concerning land use, and I don't think anybody's asking to go straight to SLEAC, but the consensus of the meeting, including two very large landholders, and it felt that the direction that we were moving was good. Mr. Fleet is supposed to give us a report based on what is happening in surrounding counties. And quite frankly, I would have thought he would have already had it, but obviously we don't have it. And I would like to make a motion that we table it for next month.
Have a motion to table the topic of land use until next month.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is made and duly seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So ordered. Is there any new business to come before the Board of Supervisors? Any monkey business? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to supervisors' comments and reports. We'll go with ladies first.
To turn my pages here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was very gratified at the River County's grant reception earlier in July. There were a number of Middlesex organizations that had the initiative to apply for grants for programs that benefit our students, for our citizens, and there are more than I can even list right now, but I did want to especially commend the Social Services Department and the schools for taking the initiative to seek grant funding and not go beyond what's available from public sources. And libraries, Habitat, there were a number of other organizations. So it was really a very nice event. A lot of people doing hard work. Keep Middlesex Beautiful. I just want to point out that there are meetings. There is a program in place for the committee through some grant funding to pay off-duty sheriffs through the regional jail to take people from the jail to the highways to pick up, and there's a schedule where that is used. There was a meeting on expanding that and trying to get involved with community services. There hasn't been a resolution there, but it is a continuing effort to do more, as much as we can for the litter. And I will take that recommendation about the public access places to the committee. The Planning Commission, really, that was postponed. Well, anything that was on the agenda was postponed. And Dominion, I attended a briefing for participant or neighbors in the area of their transition station and the construction that will happen at the end near Pine Top and Route 3, and that is going to be moving forward. Just so you know, there's a landscape plan when people start saying transition, and they're going to actually use that site to initiate some of the work for the underground, the transition line across the river. So there's going to be a lot of activity there. But they had a very good briefing, and I'm sure they are available for anyone else who's interested. The Community Management Planning Team, one thing I just wanted to bring to the board's attention, we now in this county since July 23rd, with the Social Services Department under the Virginia Department of Social Services, have a summer lunch program. Summer lunch is available, or lunch is available to children throughout the county. There's no criteria, 11:30 to 1 o'clock at the Cook's Corner building. So participants can just drop in, and they're ready to serve the need. This is designed to make sure that any child, that every child has lunch during the summer when they're not in school. Thank you. Yes, that concludes my report.
Yes, I attended the Department of Parks and Rec, and what we talked about, the youth basketball league that Tom Hardy started in 1976, he's going to turn it over to Parks and Rec. So we voted on Parks and Rec to take over that basketball league that they had. Also, Ken Tuffer, he's a Stepping Stone Square Dance. They ended up, Parks and Rec going to take over that stepping line dance that they have for the Stepping Stones. They're going to get back with us and change everything over, and everything will run through Parks and Recs as another activity for seniors, anyone that want to do anything like that. And also, we voted on St. Clair Walker High School class of 1969 would like to have a class reunion in the gym of next year. And they talked about that. And
So that's number 50.
Huh?
That's number 50.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah, so if there's no renovation going on at that time, they say that they have to look at it and see, but if it is, the new St. Clair Walker would be alternative, but really they want to have it in the old gym, and they say they want to do that, so they're working on for that.
I keep track of that number because I graduated high school.
Oh, you did? And also, our Middle Peninsula Alliance, we also talked about the Public Assets Authority. They have like 51 properties that was donated to that authority, and it's open. Well, they want it's public, so they want to open it for different business. Like if somebody wants to start a kayaking business, or something like that, they could do that, or something off on the water. But there's a lot of dot your I's and cross your T's until they get all that information properly straight on that. And also attended the PDC. That date was changed, and Louis Lawrence, Executive Director, reviewed possible water quality economic development opportunities for new business associated with the in-water and near shore riparian and upland areas that can drive traditional and new innovative rural coastal business opportunities. He discussed that, and then we just went over our allocation for costs and different things like that of the business, and strategically we are well sound. And he also discussed about a lot of small business money that had been allocated, and they're thinking about bringing that back up again because they did it before, and the money's just sitting there. So really, they're going to have to start some more programs because it's only specific for starting up business and different things like that. And that's it for my committee report.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mansfield.
I attended a meeting of the Urbana Town Council, and we'll be going back to talk to them again on Thursday, mainly concerning the SWIP program, which is HRSD's water renourishment and aquifer replenishment. I'm thinking that this next meeting will be more fruitful than the last meeting, which was strictly informational. And I will report to you on that.
Very good.
Next. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I was invited to the grand reopening of the Deltaville Library after their remodel, and if you haven't been down there to see what the volunteers and folks have done, you're missing out on something, because it was a nice enough facility before, but it's pretty top drawer now, and they've done a fine job. We also had a budget and finance meeting with the schools, airport committee meeting. The overwhelming number of people that we had at the last meeting worrying about the realignment, there's no citizen issues now. They're very happy with the possibility of that field getting realigned. We do have an issue with some trees that are growing into the approach airspace, and don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but it does appear we've got an amendment, an ordinance on the books that says you can't penetrate our airspace. So maybe we can solve it amicably. Also had a good meeting with the emergency services group. Really enjoy working with those folks. Just nice to see the dedicated volunteers that serve this county, and our coordinator David Lehman just does a great job. So we've got a real good team doing the best they can for our emergency services. Also had a update on the sewer service areas with Ken Baybutt, and It looks like the engineering is moving along with that, and they had to take groups of supervisors two at a time because we couldn't have a meeting, but all of us had updates on that, and I'm pleased to see the direction that we seem to be moving in. And that's all that I have. So we will reopen public comment. Anybody have anything they would like to address the board on? Don't everybody get up here at once. One at a time, please. Okay. We will close public comment then. And we have an item that we need to talk about in closed session. So we will need a motion for what our county attorney is just about to read.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we need a motion from the board to convene in a closed session pursuant to the Code of Virginia Sections 2.2-3711A3 and A8. This is for the discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and for a consultation with legal counsel regarding the airport.
And we do not think we'll have any action coming out of closed session.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion duly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, so ordered. And I'd like to thank the public for turning out tonight. It's nice to see people taking an interest in the mundane business activities of the board.
And there's no evening session.
No evening session.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for coming.